Can we have the roll call? Thank you, Peter. Call the meeting to order, July 14th. Can we please have a roll call?
Councilmember Burke,
Here.
Mayor Cooper,
Here.
Councilmember Mark,
Here.
Councilmember Carapiet. Here. For the record, Councilmember Wilkinson is absent.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any council reports this evening?
Oh, I do.
Okay, Councilmember Carapiet.
So I attended the TAM meeting in June, and TAM is redoing their program for transportation for seniors and low income. And they're changing it to accommodate just for low income individuals and people with disabilities. And they're doing a 6-month transition from those who used to take advantage of the program so that they can find other ways of transportation. They had an excellent report on sea level rise adoption planning for Marin County transportation systems, and it was a study. And they realized as they were doing the study that they needed to coordinate. This study was going to be able to be used by other agencies, BCDC, Army Corps of Engineer. So it's a very basic study. And Belvedere Tiburon is one of the 19 focus areas for flooding that they're going to be focusing on. We also, the board also awarded a $645,000 grant to Parametrics to do a Marin County School Access Safety Action Plan. And that'll be coming out in 2 years. And we also allocated the funds to Marin Transit for operation and where did it go? And capital needs for 2025-26. I also attended the RBRA meeting this month, and RBRA is doing a very good job. There's only 5 boats that are left in the eel zone. And all of those people have to be out by October of this year. So does anyone have any questions? That's my report.
There seems to be a lot of focus on transportation going forward when we need it now. So anyway, it's too bad it's all happening in the future. Okay, anyone else have any reports?
No report.
Okay, thank you. City manager report. Oh, is there any public comment about the council reports?
Mayor Cooper, I see none.
Thank you. Is there any public? No, okay. You do count as public, by the way. We're not acting like you're not public. Okay, city manager report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Cooper. I do have a couple of public works updates. I'll start off with this year's vegetation pickup program. We had a record year with 134 cubic yards of flammable material that people place in front of their properties being picked up by public works crews, which is roughly about 27 truckloads of vegetation that's removed from the islands. So I'd like to give a big thanks to Tony and his team for hauling off that debris and for the many residents who participated in this free pickup service. But not to worry if you did miss it, Tiburon will be continuing with Chipper Days at Blackie's Pasture. That program runs the second Saturday of the month from now until September. In other public works news, please be advised that the 2025 road maintenance project will start at the end of this month. This will be a slurry seal project with a duration of approximately 1 week. The streets to be sealed are Lagoon Road, Peninsula, Tamalpais, Eucalyptus, and Pine Avenue. No parking zones, closures, and detours will be placed for the duration of the project. Residents are asked to be aware of traffic signs and flaggers on work days. Information will be delivered to residents who live in these streets. Also, we'll include an article in this Friday's Breeze with more details. Switching to planning and building, we're making progress on Mallard Point. Over the past few weeks, our planning and engineering teams have been carefully reviewing the applicant's submittals, covering demolition plans, infrastructure improvements, and the proposed bulkhead and replacement. We expect to complete our review and issue formal comments by Friday, July 18th. If any elements of the application require further detail or clarification, we'll plan to issue an incompleteness letter by Tuesday, July 23rd. So once that letter is sent, we'll pause and allow the applicant to address any outstanding items. But in the meantime, staff will convene and finalize the project manager's scope of work. And once that scope's fully defined, we'll begin interviewing qualified firms to serve as a project manager for this project going forward. Following up from last month, you recall that Chief Wu and I provide the status of the police department staffing. We discussed a couple of options to build in resiliency for the department for the long term, and in the short term, talked about a few ways and means to provide relief for our existing officers. Council asked that I return in July and provide a progress update. So first I'll announce that after a successful 5-year stay in Belvedere, Sergeant Sabito has requested his retirement. So starting in early September, we'll be able to officially rehire for the 5th officer position. In anticipation of this, we've opened up the recruitment. Jason and his team will be conducting the first round of interviews this week. Assuming there is a qualified candidate who's also a good fit for Belvedere, we would immediately begin the background investigation with the intent of hiring that person ASAP. So I think overall that's great news, and I do want to thank Sergeant Sabito for his 5 years of service to this community. At the same time, we've been looking to expand our reserve officer pool. Reserve officers are typically used on a short-term basis to fill in the scheduling gaps that often come due to medical leave or family reasons. These are non-benefited positions which cap a participant's annual time at 966 hours. Ideally, we'd like to bring on 2 additional reserve officers, but we are open to more, provided it doesn't cost the city. Following the June council meeting, we'll also begin advertising for the reserve officer positions. And we have begun, and we now have 3 interested candidates. Again, Jason and his team are conducting a first round of interviews this week for those positions. As a side note, you'll notice a job description for a reserve officer position on the consent calendar this evening. This officially adds a position to our administrative policy manual. Although we are advancing quickly with new hires, Jason and I are still looking for ways to relieve our officers who have been working long hours. We've contacted Tiburon PD for immediate help, and they've been gracious enough to volunteer so our team can schedule summer vacations and the mandatory post-training. Jason has since expanded his request for coverage to other agencies, including Mill Valley and the county. On the more long-term solution, which would be a pilot project for nighttime coverage with Tiburon, the city and the police union have officially met and are in the process of exploring the details of this shared service model. I'll hopefully have more information to share in August as that conversation advances. But overall, I think there's been some significant strides in the last few weeks. We will make certain to keep pushing hard and pushing ahead to maintain this as a priority. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. That was a really thorough report. Do we have any questions for our city manager on anything that he? Kevin?
Yeah, thank you, Robert, for that report. 2 questions regarding police. So have we actually started to engage any third parties to help relieve the current officers right now, or we're still exploring that?
So we've been immediately after the last council meeting, we did reach out to Tiburon and ask them to fill some shifts that were some immediate needs for training, that scheduled training that Officer Clark needed to attend.
Yeah.
We gave them the dates for that. And then there were 2 other vacations that there were longer vacations that we needed help with. So I believe one of those has been filled. We're looking for, later on down the year, the post-training, and that other vacation late summer is something we're still looking for help with. Hence us reaching out to other departments, casting a bit of a wider net, seeing if the county or Mill Valley or another agency would be willing to lend us an officer.
So we're already doing it. I mean, I just want to be sure we are moving as quickly as possible, because I know the team is overworked, and we want to be responsive to supporting you and the team and ensure that they do get some relief as quickly as possible.
We are doing that.
That's great. And then the other question would be, how is this new position going to be leveled? So the outgoing individual is a sergeant level. What will be the job spec will be what?
My understanding is that we're hiring for an officer position, and usually you promote from within. So if there's another candidate that we would have that meets the minimum qualifications for sergeant, usually we would promote them up. That's generally how we've done it in the past. Jason, if you want to add to that, feel free.
Thank you very much for the question.
Sure.
Yeah, I think in order to expedite our staffing issues, it'd be more prudent for us to immediately hire a police officer. I think there's a wider pool of candidates. And then as we move forward, then we can certainly fill that position as things settles down more. And ideally, we do like to have at least 2 supervisors.
Great. Okay, thank you. And then I do have a question that for the city manager, it wasn't in his report, but I'm assuming I can ask the question, and Andrew, I'm sure you'll stop me if I can't. I got a number of questions from the community regarding the last week's traffic on Tiburon Boulevard. And I wonder, is that something that we are noticed on, or is there a way for us to get that information and communicate it to our community in advance so people can plan for it?
Yeah, we're talking about the trimming, vegetation trimming
yeah,
that
which
caused that traffic
created
nightmare out
terrible,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, and Caltrans is usually the agency that organizes that. In the past, I'd say over the last 6 months to a year, have been better at notifying us and sending us their schedule. I guess it's a question for Public Works about, if that didn't happen this time, but I think everyone was a little surprised to see that impact and how long that took.
Yeah, it would be great if we could, be proactive or see what we can do to ensure we get that information. And then
Yeah.
I think it's worth even blasting it out the week before, because people can adjust their plans to try and avoid it. It was just really quite chaotic.
Yeah, I was stuck in it as well.
Although I'm not the city manager, I'm happy to answer that and say that people need to sign up for the,
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right. No, you're
am I
right.
wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Need to sign up for what?
For the Belvedere Breeze. And also they should sign up for the road closures, because everyone who signed up for road closures got that information. And I think we also put an article in the Breeze, and I will add that it was on Tiburon Boulevard in several places. So people need to,
So if they had already signed up for road closures, they would have. So we
They
did
would
have the
have.
information last week, and it was communicated out to the community.
But they also had big, whatever they call those big road signs, and it said road work July,
July
whatever,
6th
to
to the
July,
11th
whatever.
or whatever it was, yeah.
To the 11th.
but
9th to the 11th, and
people
expect
don't,
delays.
I know, people don't read, but we did try.
Yeah.
So
that's
I would
great.
encourage everyone to.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't realize that it already had gone out.
Yeah, there's also, I got them up in Maine. There's DOT, having nothing to do with Belvedere, has a emergency email stream like DOT from someone at DOT that tells you where there's closures. It might be that same thing. So there's definitely out there. And if we don't, Tony, if we don't have that, we should definitely have that so we can notify people of that. One quick follow-up, Robert, you mentioned Tiburon would use the word volunteer for shifts of some sort. They're not volunteering, they're volunteering to do it, but we pay them.
Yes, that's correct. They're
Yeah.
not doing it out of no pay situation. We are paying them for the work.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just second what Kevin had said, that I would absolutely encourage you and Chief Wu to, not only take advantage of our budgeted resources to do that, and also in a sense, I know our officers want to fill in these shifts from within, but at some point it works against the broader services to our community when we overwork them. So I think it makes sense to sometimes say no and bring in those outside services to, in a sense, if not force the time, but not have those extended shifts when it can potentially lead to diminishment of services. Not that it has, but that it could through the overuse and the wearing down that we've sort of been talking about over time. Thank you for the report.
Anyone else have a question? I guess I'll third the police issue. And one of the questions I had is, how long does it normally take when you begin the recruitment and hiring process?
Yeah, Jason and I are just talking about this, and it really is specific to the officer and their background. Jason, you want to take that one?
Actually, I don't think we want to
Okay.
as much. Yeah, my apologies, Mayor. I think we've had a fairly extensive discussion of the issue at this point in the context of the city manager report.
Okay,
So I think we may want to return to this at a
at
future
the
meeting.
police report?
Yeah, we can certainly the next item, I don't know if the chief was planning on addressing it then, but
Okay,
that would probably
sure.
be more in that
We can wait.
purview.
Okay,
But we also do want to obviously track the agenda, so.
okay. Then are there any questions from the audience on the city manager's report? Anyone on Zoom?
I see none.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll move on to the police chief report.
Great. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Cooper and council members. Tonight, I'm pleased to present the Police Department's second quarter report for 2025. Just real quick, that the report is really more data driven, so I wasn't have any prepared statements regarding the hiring and training. However, if that's applicable, I can certainly include this in my report on a kind of unscripted sense. Okay, thank you very much. That's not, oh, no, it's not changing. Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Okay, great, thank you. All right. Oh, there we go. Thank you. The Belvedere Police Department epitomizes the heart of community policing by delivering a curated approach that showcases unparalleled community caretaking. The police department's no calls too small philosophy complements Belvedere's ethos and culture. Regarding our RIPA data, officers detained 37 individuals this quarter that stemmed from 23 traffic violations and 14 suspicious activities. The perceived racial composition consisted of 30 Caucasians, 3 Hispanics, 2 Middle Easterns, 1 African American, and 1 Asian. Of these 37 contacts, 23 were officer initiated, while 14 were related to calls for service. In all, 23 warnings were issued, 11 were released to parents, and 3 arrests were made. And also during this quarter, the department handled 1,160 incidents, which included 2 Part 1 offenses highlighted in bold, as well as 7 Part 2 offenses. The remaining 1,151 incidents were classified as all other incidents. In another statistical snapshot, the department conducted 23 traffic stops, made 3 arrests with 3 prosecutorial referrals. We continue to receive multiple citizens' appreciations. We also assisted Tiburon on 1 occasion. In alignment with amended laws and best practices, we updated 10, deleted 2, and implemented 3 new Lexipol policies. These updates are detailed in the staff report. In keeping with professional development, PD personnel attended online training that were either mandated or for knowledge and skill enhancements. And lastly, we always take great pride in joining participating in community events. And, prior to concluding my report, to answer your question, the timelines, it really varies by individuals because there's a lot of variables. There are many steps that are required in the hiring process from the background. Once the background's completed, which could be as short as a month or 2, or even as long as 2-3 months, depending how complicated the person's background is, then the person is scheduled for a polygraph. And again, that's depending on the availability of the polygrapher. Once that's successfully passed, then we schedule them for a medical and psychological. Again, these two other pre-employment requirements are dependent on the vendor's contractor's availability. So with that said, it's really hard to pinpoint. However, once we do onboard them, depending on their level of experience and other post requirements, the worst case scenario is that the new hire would have to undergo through 16 weeks of field training. However, if we bring on someone who is a lateral officer with prior experience, we could abbreviate that by almost 50%, if not more. And with that said, this concludes my report, and I am available for questions.
Thank you. So I guess my question or concern is that it's great that we've been proactive, and I'm really pleased with that, and that you're already starting the hiring process. And but it sounds like even on the shortest timeline, it would be 4 months, 3 months, 4 months to perhaps 6 months. And so we would still have 4 officers from now for the next 4 to 6 months, which would take us really far into the, almost the end of the year. So I guess I just want to reiterate that I'm really hoping that we're not just looking for help for a training or a vacation. Because I think our officers need some relief on a weekly basis. And so I would encourage you, as you reach out to Mill Valley or the county, hopefully you hear back from them quickly, and Tiburon as well, that it isn't simply just to wait for somebody's vacation next fall. What you're hearing here from this group is that we really want to see, as much as possible, some kind of support for the current officers, that where we're not waiting another 4 to 6 months, because I understand how difficult it is, but it's sad for us to hear that it takes that long, although I get that it's totally realistic. So I guess that's my statement and my concern.
I would jump in on that. I think I would even go further and say, personally, I think we should require that Robert and Chief would come back to us with a plan at our next meeting. Like, what is something that you are ready to implement in August? Because if the officer's going out in September, you said, and it takes you 3 to 4 months, that means that we'll be left with less coverage just as a community. And I think you've done a very good job of stressing how important it is to have the coverage. And so I wouldn't feel comfortable just leaving it to be, well, we'll make it up as we go. I think we have to have a permanent, or I guess it's not a permanent, but a midterm solution that is ready to implement in August. So come September, you're not with only 4 officers.
Well, we're at 4 right now. The officer-
Then yeah.
Tom's already out.
So August is already too late, but
Yeah, I think that's important because as you pointed out, and Kevin brought this up at the retreat back when, this math doesn't work with 4 officers. I mean, we're literally in an 8-hour deficit going in. So we're requiring, I know we're getting a little farther afield again. Andrew, we're getting a little farther afield, but this math doesn't work. So going in, we're at a full shift, a full day's worth of extra work for our officers. So I would concur with Kevin that we get a plan to bridge this period as deliberately and specifically as possible. Separately and related to your presentation, Chief Wu, a few slides back, you had a line there, one assist of Tiburon, from Belvedere assisting Tiburon. Do you record, or is it recorded, how many times Tiburon has assisted Belvedere?
We don't intentionally look for those. However, I think if we need to find that, we can, but usually it's how they record their assistance. For us specifically, I have asked our officers to create an incident number whenever we help Tiburon. So this way it's easy for us to capture.
But so your officers don't notate when they received assistance from Tiburon? I'm not saying they have to, I'm just curious.
No, we do not, generally speaking, we do not capture that data. However, again, it's whether if they capture as an assist other agencies in their record management system, I can certainly reach out to Tiburon, see if they're able to do a data search to find out or not. Sometimes they may, sometimes they may not.
Can I ask also another question? This is sort of an anecdotal comment. There was a story in the Times the other day, New York Times, about how policing is as much a deterrent as anything else. And forgive my layman's sort of perspective on this. And I've noticed just in the past month or two, more physical presence around the city. Officers sitting in various locations. High prominent locations. Is that deliberate? Is that a specific directive that you've undertaken?
I think it's important for us to really document our officers document their activities and really, and thank you for that question. I actually took some notes down as I was gathering the stats. Just kind of give you an example of some of the officer initiated action at nighttime that could be checking a suspicious vehicle, conducting traffic or seeing traffic hazards. For example, as they're driving down the street, they see downed trees and so forth. They'll document that. Often they'll see vehicles with open doors with lights on, or even garages or residential front doors being opened. They're very proactive as they're driving in the course of a normal business. They're checking on suspicious vehicles, suspicious circumstances, stalled vehicles, traffic stops, and so these are just some of the examples of the things that the officers are doing as they are conducting their crime prevention activities or extra patrols.
Okay, thank you. And because I also think some of the anecdotal comments from our residents, that presence is noted and important.
Yes, no, definitely. And I think that the thing that's really hard to quantify, especially at night, is even though the activity call volume, calls for service are lower county-wide, what's hard to quantify is how many crimes have actually been deterred as a result of officers' high visibilities in patrol.
And I just want to join my fellow council members and say that we really do need to get some kind of, not quite permanent, but something that, because it's going to be 4 to 6 months before we really have enough staff that, so I think we need to speed up that thought about Tiburon helping with the night shift.
I just have one last question. Are you involved in the National Night Out? I think it's August 5th.
Yes, we normally do partner up with Tiburon.
Tiburon. Okay, so if we put that in the breeze, that's something. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, are there any questions for our chief of police? Seeing none here.
We have Mr. Rothman.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Chief Wu was good enough to send me the history of burglaries during the last 3 years. And there were just 3 of them. But in following this issue of the adequate or the inadequate staffing, I have come to the conclusion that the fact that we will never be overstaffed, that's not going to happen. We could hope to get up to adequate staffing, but it means that we're really not equipped. We won't be equipped to do detailed investigations of burglaries. We're never going to have the staff to sit down for extended periods of time with residents to say, well, who had access and were you on vacation? Did you go out? Whatever it may be, that's never going to be something that the Belvedere Police Department will be able to do because of it's not going to have the staff. It's not going to have a detective division. That, to me, makes the importance of prevention. Solving is not going to be the answer, but prevention. And how do you do prevention? Well, one thing is to institute the kinds of personal measures that the chief has outlined, but also simple patrolling, simply having the police officers adequately staffed so that they can patrol the streets. Because that's the only way that's going to scare away potential burglars. that the police are aware of which different cars are in front of which different houses, and if something is not right, then and the only way you can determine that is by patrolling. But I think the chief would agree, but perhaps not, but that we are never going to have a detective division, and therefore our approach must be prevention. And the big thing about prevention, I believe, is resident action, but in addition, patrolling by the police officers, and that requires a greater staffing than we have now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. We appreciate your thoughts on this.
There are no other hands raised.
Okay, great. We will move on to our presentation this evening from Councilmember Pat Carapiet, who is chair of the working group Be Ready Belvedere. And as a reminder to everyone here, last fall we adopted the emergency operation plan, and at the time there was quite a few mistakes in that plan, and the council decided that we should put together a working group to address all these errors and send them on to the county as they revise for the next plan, which did happen. And then we realized that it would be great for the community to continue on and come up with other things that our chair will discuss tonight. So I think, Robert, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, actually, that's a great lead in. I was just going to say, we were tasked with updating the emergency operations plan, and we pulled in some members of the Belvedere Tiburon Disaster Advisory Council, myself and Chief Wu, Tom Cromwell, Keith Pagan, and then of course, Councilmember Cooper and or Mayor Cooper and Councilmember Carapiet. So yeah, I think the group has done a lot. And Pat, if you'd be willing to comment on a few of the things that are going on in those meetings, that would be great.
So one of the first things we discussed is that one of the most frequent questions we have from the community is, what do I do in event of an emergency? And there's a feeling that they don't know what to do, that is there a plan? What do I do? And it's a really hard question to answer because it depends on what the emergency is. And each emergency is going to be different and have a specific safety instruction. And the safety instructions are going to come from our police department or our fire department. And that would also include potentially Tiburon Police Department. And so we set up this working group and we called it Be Ready Belvedere. And our goal is to help residents not only what to do in event of a specific type of emergency, but also to provide guidance and assistance so they can be better prepared for a range of potential different situations. So we currently are fortunate enough to have the Belvedere Block Captain Program, and it's 80 block captains, which is led by Adam Gazzard. And we, as a working group, as appropriate, will be coordinating closely with Adam and this excellent community program. We have been meeting once a month since January 2025 and are working on a number of projects. In addition to Belvedere Park and Tom Price Park, we are identifying evacuation locations and establishing memoranda of understanding called MOUs with private property owners as needed. And this will allow our residents to have a choice of where to go, how to get there, based on their mobility and their location at the time of the disaster. We're trying to determine what the city can provide at these locations, such as water, food, protein bars. We're working to investigate additional water evacuation options. We're updating the emergency medical trailer with supplies as needed. The trailer is currently located at St. Stephen's parking lot. Our event that we're focusing on this year is called Build a Go Bag. And it's going to be on Friday, October 10th from 5 to 6. We're excited to proceed the Belvedere Homemade Film Festival event that starts at 6:30 that evening. And we will have details going forward in city council meetings in the Belvedere Breeze as we come closer to the event. We have revised and updated the emergency preparedness page on the Belvedere website. We're including topics of emergency preparedness in our council chats. And we're also going to have a monthly update in the Belvedere Breeze. One of the key messages that we're trying to get across with Be Ready Belvedere is that in addition to the work we're doing as a city, every Belvedere resident has a personal responsibility to prepare their family and home for a potential natural disaster. That's why we're recommending that all Belvedere residents follow these 5 simple steps. First, sign up for Alert Marin. Currently, Belvedere is almost 50% registered on Belvedere or Alert Marin, so we have a little bit more work to get everyone signed up. We're suggesting that everyone has 7 days of provisions if you're called to shelter in place. We recommend that you have a go bag, which we hope everyone will come and get a free go bag. And you also need to remember that if you have pets, you have to provide for their well-being also. So we also say that everyone needs to create a plan. You need to know how you're going to reach other members if they're not around, and identify a destination to meet up. And the 5th is evacuate early if there's any indication of a disaster affecting Belvedere, especially if you have mobility issues or other concerns. And are there any questions?
Any questions from our audience?
There are no hands raised.
No questions due to your thorough presentation. So thank you very much. That was great. It was nice to hear what's going on. I appreciate that.
Well, the nice thing is that the focus is to take little steps, and Chief Wu has been very instrumental in guiding us into what those small steps need to be. And as we build on these small steps as we go forward in the year, we hope that the residents feel that they know what to do depending on what they're going to be, what the emergency could be. And so we're going to be building on this message throughout the year and continuing to build on the message. And I also want to thank Lori Nielsen, who is our emergency preparedness. What is she called?
Disaster coordinator.
Oh, disaster coordinator. She's also been joining us in the committee and has been very helpful in providing information. She's helping us with the Go Bag event. She's been a great addition. And so it's been great because the momentum that we're getting is creating enthusiasm. And so we hope that we can bring that through to the community.
Great, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. I did. The consent calendar consists of items that are considered to be non-controversial. Unless any item is specifically removed by any member of the council, staff, or public, the consent calendar will be adopted by one motion. Council will take public comment on all items on the consent calendar when the calendar is called. Do any council members have a question on any item?
I do, and it's a question which maybe Andrew can answer, and based on the answer, I'll either like to discuss it or pull it or so forth. Under 4E, relating to the police department's policy manual,
Yeah.
using Edward, digging into the red lines, there's quite a bit of elimination of protected information, and the summary doesn't really get into it in the staff report. It seems that we're taking out the department's obligation to retain and protect content, not just the equipment. The equipment protection is still in there, but not the content. Is that because it's updated elsewhere in the policy, or that's what is the standard procedure? But everything's been crossed out as far as that information is subject to public records and it needs to be protected and so forth. I would think we'd want that in there.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. These changes are recommended and suggested at Lexipol level, and it all depends on, they give you options whether they're federal, state mandates or agency discretions, and vast majorities are all state or state mandates. And so we simply follow their recommendations. They have a staff of attorneys. All they do is to review for best policies and to be in compliance with the law. And then it's not just Belvedere specific, it's anyone who subscribes to Lexipol gets the same message.
Okay. I guess it brings up a separate question as far as this information is. It's subject to Public Records Acts and, you know, what even Mr. Rothman was talking about earlier this evening about asking information about burglaries. And I'm assuming that those records are required to be kept and secured and so forth, because this seems to take that away, that obligation from a policy perspective.
Yeah, I believe it does not, in the sense that there are mandates in which what we have to release. And so we follow by those guidelines, by those policies.
Retain and release, obviously. I mean,
Correct.
you have to retain something. You
Correct.
don't need to release everything, presumably.
Correct.
Okay. I'm satisfied. It was a little bit surprising how much was being taken out. And I mean, it's a long document. I didn't see where it was perhaps sourced. I'm sure there's other broader policies that define the retention of these records. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Oh, I had a question. Oh, sorry. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just had a clarification regarding item 4D, but I can defer that to whenever you find appropriate.
I was going to ask a question about 4D.
Please.
So
Please
there you
ahead.
go.
There you go. We're on the same page.
Okay, so, well, I'm not going to do yours. You do yours, I'll do mine. Okay. I understand that 4G, that this new revision for the bid procedures for public works is pretty much because of increased construction and materials costs. And so everything's going up, so they're putting up okay, I get all that. My question is, also in the APM on number 2.7.5, it's called bidding and contracting for supplies, materials, non-professional services and maintenance work. And my hope is that because for the same reason with everything costing more, that we would also be able to amend this section to go higher. Is that possible?
Yeah, so, okay, so after conferring with the city manager, if the council does want us to revisit 2.7.5, we can certainly bring that back at the next meeting.
Okay, I'd like that.
Okay, well, I guess that maybe negates what I was going to say, but I was just going to briefly note for the record, based on the observation of one of our very astute council members, that we did have a minor correction to make on 4D nonetheless. And that is regarding the change to 2.7.4D regarding formal bid procedures. Currently, the policy amendments set forth a threshold for those formal bid procedures at $220,000 or greater. It actually should read more than $220,000 period to track state law. So that was just a matter of clarification, but in any case, it looks like we're coming back with this policy at the next meeting.
Well, so we can't go ahead and adopt this one right now and then reopen it, or?
Yeah, so city manager said we can go ahead with
Yeah.
2.7.4.
Okay,
And
that's
we'll
what I
bring back
thought.
2.7.5.
Right,
at the
okay.
next meeting. All right.
That's
thank
what
you.
I assumed.
Just it's section C and D. Because it's the same thing with 175 also, I believe. I mean, the same parallel is, I think, in existence for C.
It's in
section
there
C
twice.
and D. The
No,
same,
I
the
I
same.
think that
the-
$220,000 or less is accurate, council member. It's
Is
just
it?
more than 220 is formal, and the 220 or less is informal.
This one is the one you keep.
Whereas
And that's
before,
what
there was this
changed.
potential overlap where lack of clarity about how to proceed if the bid was exactly 220.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but in what you're proposing to change, 2.7.4, section C has the same language as section D.
Section D, council member?
You're saying there's two separate things. One's for
Okay.
public works projects. I'm sorry.
It's only public. works.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm seeing before now.
No
My
problem at
mistake,
all.
my mistake.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Okay, in that case, can I please have a motion to adopt items 4A through 4I on the consent calendar?
I can make a motion to approve the consent calendar with the city council's notation for 4D.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Oh, public comment.
Oh, public
Oh,
comment.
yeah, Mayor,
Sorry,
sorry. yeah, just
is there
public
any
comment.
public comment on the consent calendar? No. Is
Come
there
on,
any
Jeff.
public?
Jeff, you have a comment.
Please, have a comment.
Paige?
I see no hands raised.
Okay,
So moved. I mean, I'll move it once again, as I just said.
I'll second it again.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on to other scheduled items. Our first item 5A is a discussion and possible action of a revocable license for private improvements in the public right-of-way for property 104 Golden Gate Avenue. Do we have a staff report? Yes? Oh, it's coming. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper and council members. For your consideration this evening is a revocable license application for new and existing improvements within the Golden Gate Avenue right-of-way for the property located at 104 Golden Gate Avenue. On April 29th, the Planning Commission granted design review and demolition approvals to construct a new single-family residence. The project proposed improvements within the public right-of-way shown here in the shaded portions of this exhibit. The private improvements included a new storm drain, 2 public parking spaces, a site wall, pedestrian walkway, and landscaping. The existing driveway would be replaced in the same location as well. The public parking area would be 36 feet long by 8 feet wide. South of the parking area, a site wall would be constructed ranging in height from 1 feet to 3 feet 4 inches tall. This image shows the approximate location of the new parking, which would be constructed off the edge of the existing pavement. The applicant would excavate approximately 80 cubic yards of soil to create the new parking. Landscaping in the right-of-way will primarily consist of dwarf coyote bush in 5-gallon pots and deer grass. Additional landscaping would include bush, gold kangaroo paw, and Cleveland sage. This is a rendering provided by the architect at the April Planning Commission meeting, showing the proposed landscape and the new driveway. Should council be in a position to approve the revocable license tonight, a condition has been added that landscaping shall not encroach into the street at any time. Staff recommends that the findings can be made as the improvements provide 2 off-street parking spaces to relieve potential parking and traffic congestion on Golden Gate Avenue. And the landscaping improvements enhance the aesthetic appeal of the property frontage. Thank you, and we're here to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions?
I have a quick question. So the parking spaces are public parking spaces. Was the planning commission's resolution include a condition that those would be public so there's no confusion in the future?
We didn't specifically have a condition of approval that they shall
They
be
are.
public parking spaces, but they're in the public right of way. And I think if they were to put up signs that said private parking, we would interject.
So would it be simpler just to do a condition on the revocable license that they remain private?
Public?
Or I mean, public?
Yeah.
I tried.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, okay. That was it.
Any other
Thank you for your
questions?
report.
Yeah, I had a question. I just wanted to confirm the materials that are being proposed for actually the surface. Is it asphalt to match the roadway or is it stonework to match the home?
That's a great question. Maybe the applicant could answer that.
Okay.
You have to go to the microphone though, please.
Johnston here.
Welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Jeff Johnston representing the property owner, and I don't know if I need to hold this down or not. It would be asphalt. Simple.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions for our staff or the
Maybe just one
representative?
other, is the 8 feet that is standard in terms of width?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Thank you.
And the 36 should allow for actually 2 parking spaces. Okay, great.
And I don't believe the RL area is 8 feet, so it goes back into the property a little bit,
That's
right?
Okay, there's no other questions. Do we have any public comment tonight on this item? Here or on Zoom? Based. All right. Is there any further discussion from anyone or?
Sure. I'm very supportive. I think it's great to add additional parking. I do think that we should be explicit and condition it that the surface matches the street and there's no signs or house numbering that would suggest or mislead the public into thinking it was private parking.
I would want to put in the revocable license that that it is, shall remain public parking so that there's no confusion. Because then that way, if there is a confusion, we have the revocable license to revoke.
Yeah, and the reason I raise it, and it's probably the same with you, Pat, is that, I mean, the stairway that leads
I know.
directly to it, I think can be misleading
Mhm.
or confusing to the public as to whether or not this is a public space or not. So I think we should just be really clear.
Mhm.
Yeah, more clarity, the better.
There is a bit of a complication because I believe our requirements have you have to put an address there. Don't we have some sort of notation for an ADU has to have an address either on the ADU or down there? But I agree, the more customization, privatization you make of it, it will deter more public use, which is inevitable to happen, but we'd like to not have that be.
So this is
Encouraged.
this is intended to be the entrance to the ADU?
It is.
And can we do that with public property? I don't think we can. I don't think we can.
Well,
Well,
that's what an RO is for access to private property over public property.
Well, that's not what's being proposed. I mean, that wasn't,
Well,
this report doesn't say we're asking for us to grant a revocable license for an entrance to a residence.
It's not the entrance to the residence.
The
per
entrance is
se.
on their
It's-
property.
Yeah, the stairs are on private property. They drop down into the
Right.
public property where there's a parking space. So presumably if someone's renting out that ADU, they're most likely going to park there and walk up the stairs, just given where the location of the ADU
Sure, if
is
it's
on the
available, but the
property.
ADU parking requirement is met from the driveway, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I mean, that's the entrance to the ADU. So I don't think we should mislead anyone to think that it's a convenient way to get there, but that's not the entrance to the ADU.
Correct.
Yeah, and so again, I think we should just be clear so people don't get confused and avoid parking there for fear that they're parking in someone's driveway.
So perhaps we want to condition it or just make it clear that the address for the ADU
Should be on the ADU, not down,
It should be
not
on
down
the
at the
ADU.
street.
I think it has to be visible for fire, so I don't know wherever they're gonna address for the house, they could just put the address,
Wherever it is.
104B on that same location.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, great. So that works for you. And the wording is fine for you to condition
Yeah, yes,
to remain public, the parking, 2 parking spaces to remain public.
yes.
Okay, great.
Cool.
I'd also just like to point out that I think this is a very good application, and I have no problem approving it whatsoever. I would just encourage, we obviously don't have the further site work plans here from a drainage perspective, but there's quite a big swale going down that side of the street. I would just make sure you continue it or provide for it over, or under the parking area. Yeah. But I can make the findings to approve this.
Okay, great. Is there any other discussion?
No, I can make the findings also.
Okay. Then can I have a motion to approve the request for revocable license at 104 Golden Gate Ave for improvements in the public right-of-way with the conditions mentioned?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Congratulations. Thanks for coming because we needed you tonight. So that worked out. Okay, on to the next item, 5B, is a discussion and possible action of a revocable license for private improvements in the public right-of-way for the property at 401 Golden Gate Avenue. And again, staff report.
Thank you again, Mayor Cooper and council members. This is a revocable license application for new and existing improvements within the Golden Gate and Pine Avenue right-of-ways for the property at 401 Golden Gate Avenue. On June 11th, the city manager granted design review exception approval to construct a new auto gate and transformer on private property. To provide access to the transformer, the applicant proposed constructing a new wood gate and stone steps within the Golden Gate Avenue right-of-way. The new wood gate would replace a section of the existing fence, which sits 3 feet 9 inches from the edge of Golden Gate Avenue. The gate is proposed to be 6 feet tall to match and connect to the existing fence. Additional improvements include plantings of 6 Carpinteria californica to 5 feet tall on both sides of the existing stone planter wall and repairing the existing stone planter wall to accommodate the new steps. Existing right-of-way improvements include the carport and garage, landscaping, the stone planter wall and fence, and concrete steps. The garage would be repainted and the fence would be repaired as needed. No additional improvements are proposed in the right-of-way. Staff recommends the findings can be made as the improvements enhance the aesthetic appeal of the property frontage by screening the utilities from public view, and the existing garage and carport provide off-street parking, thereby relieving traffic congestion on Golden Gate Avenue. Rebecca and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the staff on this particular revocable license? No, I don't either. Is there any question? Oops, Peter, do you?
I do. Channel our esteemed previous council member Nancy Kemser. There's a fence here in this revocable license area, which if this were new to us, we wouldn't be approving, right? Because it's closing off public property for private use. So aren't we, by modifying existing use quite considerably, further moving away from the direction that revocable licenses are supposed to go with not taking public property and making it private? I mean, that 6-foot fence should technically be on the line or very close to the line of private property versus public property, and it's not. It's quite a bit in at this area and more significantly in areas they're not touching. Just curious your comment on that and the director's comment on that, because it is not what we are I would think the planning commission wouldn't recommend this to us if this was a new development, and we wouldn't do this if it was, not a new development.
Are you talking about Golden Gate or Pine
I-
or both?
On Golden Gate,
Golden Gate.
I'm not, it's my
They-
understanding that they're all existing.
Yeah.
they're existing fences, to be
Oh,
sure.
I see, but your channel, yes.
But as they put in the new gate. And it, well, I mean, could you go back, do you mind going
Right.
back to
Can you
the
go back to
proposed
that?
and the new
Yeah.
picture? Oh, and Beth, by the way, this TV doesn't work here, just for future. It's fine, I'm just saying. No, the proposed and the big pictures, yes. See, that's a pretty dramatic improvement on a fence on the 6-foot tall gate that they're proposing to modify, that is further entrenching a non-conforming use in revocable license areas. Right? I mean, they're replacing an existing wood fence with a gate for the transformer access, which is, pretty, I
Yes.
mean, if this was brought to the planning commission and subsequently to us, we wouldn't approve this. So my concern is, are we, approving something that, granted it's existing, but they're modifying it pretty considerably from a planning perspective? I would tell them either make it conform or don't touch it. That would probably be the planning advice to them there. I don't want to be too draconian about this, but that's, I'm, like I said, Nancy is speaking in my ear. So I'm curious what your thought about this, and I'll just bring it up to the council, because it is something that we're trying not to do, and it seems a little bit difficult to say to an applicant that would propose something, well, this property was allowed to do that.
Rebecca, is the fence, the current fence that they're replacing, is it in the same location as the gate?
Yes, they're all the improvements that are existing, they're replacing. So they're cleaning everything up. You can see kind of behind that ivy.
Right.
The fence is back there.
I couldn't tell if the gate was farther back or in the same place as the fence.
And are they proposing to drive cars through that gate?
No,
No,
it's a
there's-
walking.
Yes.
gate.
But why do they want it to be automatic or just? It's retractable, right? Or where's the retractable one? The garage?
That one is, that one is for on the other side. That's for the automobiles. This is for
Okay.
PG&E to access the transformer. Yeah, it's.
How do they get in now?
They don't, they just go into the garage.
Oh,
So are they using this now as their primary
So
entrance?
I think, you could look at it as one of the benefits is they're getting this transformer off the street. They're putting it on their private property and this gate is screening it, right?
But is it on their private property or is it on because there's quite a bit of city land between the fence and the
No, the transformer.
property
The
line?
transformer's on their property. It's that little square, if you're looking at the license. Where the pool house is. Oh, here, Sammy's bringing it up. Between the pool house and the garage, you see that square?
mm-hmm.
That's the transformer, which is new.
So it's already there, though. I mean, so they're not moving it off the property, it's currently on the property.
Yeah, it is new.
It's,
This is a proposed
This
plan.
right here,
Yes, that's the proposed location.
and where is it currently?
There is none. This is a new transformer.
The PG&E capacity.
Well, they need it for
That
the
they need it,
electric gate.
yeah.
Oh, all right, I mean, so this is just for that. It's
Yeah,
not- it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
public, okay, it's not-
No, it's their personal, no, but presumably it could go on the street or what, I don't know. It seems like it is a benefit to the public that it is hidden on private property,
Well, it has to be a problem. I mean,
Right.
I'm not sure we'd let them put it on.
on the public
On-
right
on
of
the
way,
public
yeah.
right of way.
Since it has no public utility use.
So my memory now that Peter brought it up is that we had a past attorney that required all fences to come off of city property and be brought back to their property line.
I don't think she required it. I think it was sort of the, the recommendation. It wasn't a requirement.
Just to be clear, the granting or not of the revocable license, whether or not it's an existing improvement or proposed improvement, is a policy decision for the council. And also, I believe the applicant is here if you do have any questions for the applicant.
I mean,
So would you propose to move the gate back?
I would actually, I know it's to be consistent with our general direction and our general policy as it's been written and in practice utilized, is for that section which goes from the right-hand side of the garage in plan, it's to, that pool house, there's another wall there, like that little maybe 15, 20-foot section probably should be brought back to the property line. That would be consistent with jog that back to the property line. That would be consistent with how we've applied fences in revocable license areas going forward, because that is the section that's being touched. We can't say bring the whole fence back because that's not in it, that's not being touched. But that one section, from like I said, from here to here is being touched, where all those arrows are.
The section by the stairs
The section by the stairs.
Yeah.
Basically where,
to access the transformer.
where it says edge of pavement, that arrow all the way to where the garage
Yeah.
area is, that section, you could pivot that back to the property line and have a very modest changing the plan. It wouldn't be a straight line, but it would be consistent with our fence requirements or fence practice in revocable license areas. I don't know whether we want to ask the applicant about that or throw it back for them to discuss it, because I'm concerned about, immortalizing this when we've worked for a couple of years not to allow this.
Yeah, I think it's a good question for the applicant. I don't know what's happening there with all the landscaping,
Yeah.
if it's even possible to do all that, but they're here, so they can go ahead and speak.
So good evening, council. This is Jeff Dorso, representative of the applicant. I'll maybe say a few sort of general words, and then we also have Alpna Gupta, who's the architect on the project, who can speak with respect to maybe some of the design questions. I think, the intent just at a high level here was really to improve the facing in the neighborhood. As you know, that's a very tight street. And I think improving the fence line and the area that frankly benefits the public and the neighbors in terms of the quality of view and experience coming up Golden Gate Drive, I think was important for the owner of the property. And I think that was in part the goal of repainting the garage and then improving the fence and improving the look and feel of the public street, which we feel is a benefit to the public. Some revocable licenses benefit solely an owner. For example, if you're just cutting an entry for a driveway, or somebody has some structure overhang or something that requires a license but doesn't improve the right of way. In this case, we feel like the landscaping and the improvement of the street infrastructure benefits the neighborhood, the general public, and of course, the owner benefits from having a new fence as well. But we feel like that benefits all the property owners. And then also, as one of the planners mentioned, finding the most innocuous location for the transformer, as opposed to, whether, the city would allow or not allow, but, trying to explore putting it somewhere in the public right of way. We felt locating that, because that is a transformer that solely benefits the property owner. To locate that on the property owner's property, we felt was key. And then just a few clarifying questions. I couldn't quite hear if the council got it. I just heard some of the questions. The gate really is just for pedestrian access for PG&E to go through that. So there's no vehicles or there's steps in the image as you can see on the gate. And then on the garage door, just again, improving the look and feel from the street. So it looks newer. So, I view it as there is actually, not all encroachments are the same and not all revocable license intents are the same. I don't think it's quite as easy as just saying, kind of you should treat them all the same. I think in this case, it's really improving the frontage for the existing public and the neighborhood as well as the ownership, as opposed to an encroachment that only benefits the property owner. Alpna, I don't know if there's anything you want to add from the design perspective, but otherwise I'll stop talking and, and turn it over to you.
Hi, yes, this is Alpana from Walker Workshop. We're the architects on the project. And I think in terms of the technical aspects of the transformer location, we do need to provide the maintenance crew from PG&E 8-foot clearance in front of the transformer in order for them to allow them to access it. So I think that keeping consistent with the current design and keeping the gate in the same location as the existing fence, it both provides that access. It also creates a seamless design along that street front, and it kind of works with the current conditions of the site. So if
So
you have-
where's the, Kevin, where's the transformer going? I don't see it.
So
Hey, can someone hover like over the box? It's there on the,
Here.
between this sort of octagon
very shaded.
garage and pool house.
It's Peter.
I see it there. I wasn't on my, or it was, I guess, too light to print out in the.
Here, I
Yeah.
see it now.
So if I could just ask one question. So you're saying PG&E said they require access within a certain distance from the transformer. And it could be any sort of gate. It wouldn't have to be.
Stephanie, would you mind going back to the proposed gate there, the pictures? So
There.
as I understand it, right now there is a gate where the green hedges is to the left of the red garage, but it's not sufficient for PG&E needs. And so the proposed on the left is a more accessible gate that they would require for access to that transformer location. Is that correct?
So if I could clarify, there is actually a fence at that location where we're showing the gate. So we're going to use the similar wood species as the existing fence and then turn it into an operable gate so they can open the doors. And
So there's no access now, but you're creating the steps and creating the.
No, the steps are there.
Steps are there.
No. So you're creating the steps and creating a gate behind it, providing access to that transformer.
Right, they're cutting into the
That's
fence.
But my point is you could do that not in a straight line with the existing fence on the property line, which would be more respectful. I don't mean to use that word in a derogatory way, but just more consistent with our application of fences in local license areas. That's my concern, is that we're violating what we've worked hard to. Violating, again, is a strong word, but we're not being consistent with what we've done in my tenure on the planning commission and then my 2+ years here, trying to discourage fences in local license areas and privatizing public space. We're not going to go back and have them redo something that's already exists, but where you're putting in new improvement, I think it should be on line with the property line.
Yeah, unless there's a very good reason for an exception to that, which I haven't heard anything.
Do you know what the distance is from the property line to the fence?
3 feet looks like.
2 to 3 feet?
It's not a lot.
Okay. I guess what we'd be asking the architect and representative, if you think that's something that is doable in that location, is to push it back more so that, well, I guess my confusion here, Peter, is what about the stairs going up to the gate?
Well, one, I just, forgive me, I did not go by the property. Are those stairs there now?
No.
Okay, so I would actually think it improves the plan if you push it back off the street, because if you have a little runway to the stairs, it's better for PG&E, it's better for anybody going to that gate, is to not walk directly off the street, but walk into an on-grade paved area before you step up the steps. So I would think it would be better to do it. You're losing some space inside, but it's not their space to begin with, it's the city space. So I think it's the most appropriate plan. It's not as designed, but I think it is the better plan and more consistent with, I'm not saying the better plan for the applicant, it's a better plan that's consistent with how revocable licenses have been granted in the past in the city of Belvedere.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Peter? So you're suggesting that sort of where the arrow is for existing fence to remain, repair that fence, jog the fence towards the property line, and the steps are okay in the right of way, and then, are the steps on private property as well?
No, I think the steps are okay in the right of way.
Mhm,
Access
for
is
access, yeah.
acceptable, but you only need a certain run and rise, so you don't
Right.
need it to be that far out. So you could move it off the street, and that does help the city also, meaning that someone who's gonna be accessing those aren't standing at the base of the steps on the street. They're walking
Right.
onto the RL, the revocable license area a little better. And, take 2 or 3 feet on either side of the gate and jog it back. I'm not saying the whole area, it's okay to repair the existing fence as needed through the entire revocable license area. Just that's a real change of use there. So where's the change of use? I do believe it should go back to how we are approving fences in revocable license areas. And that's my perspective. I'm not necessarily trying to convince, I am trying to convince you, but I don't, that would be my vote.
I guess the one question that I would, this is Jeff Dorso, that I would put to ALPNA is just the need. I know PG&E requires 8-foot clearance in front of and around the transformer to do their work. So in other words, kind of inside of the gate to the transformer, there's like an 8-foot clearance around that. If we adjust that gate entrance inward, are we still able to meet that clearance requirement of PG&E or no?
Then move it back.
I don't know. I
it's
mean,
not there, then-
you have to make, we don't know we don't have any way to tell what the distances are. There's no numbers on that.
No, I was asked, sorry, I apologize for not being clear. I was asking ALPNA, the architect.
Oh, okay, great.
Who I thought may have the answer for all of us on that question.
Yes. Hi, this is Alpana jumping in to answer his question. I believe that we can move the transformer back by a couple of feet to allow for that 8-foot clearance. It would require a little bit more grading around that area to create a level pad. Currently the transformer is sited because there's an existing level pad for it to be located on. So it would require additional engineering and grading. But it's a feasible consideration.
And then the other question I guess I would have is, if I understand kind of the thought, where the stairs are in front of the proposed gate to the transformer, the notion is to move those towards the closer towards the property line, kind of jog those in. So I guess those would be jogged in, and then there would just be a bigger sidewall where it goes back out to meet the edge of the garage. I'm sort of thinking.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's what we're describing here.
Okay.
And sorry, if I could jump in, I have a question. Would it be acceptable for those steps to be in the public right of way to allow for that 8-foot clearance?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's inconsistent with what we've done in the past for access, is grade level stairs going up to the appropriate level. It's really the 6-foot height fence. That's what's very specifically has been identified as something, not taking public space and making it private.
But what we're just describing, though, ideally, the steps would be moved further into the property.
Ideally,
I mean,
yes.
just so you're not
Yeah.
stepping off the step into the street.
Yeah.
Because that'll also discourage people from parking in a public parking spot if they feel that they're blocking stairs.
I don't think there's public parking.
I don't
there.
think it's wide enough.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't think there's public parking there.
yeah.
Because, right.
Here,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, you're right. That might be further up, but I see your point.
There is parking there.
Yeah.
It's down from
That's a different staircase though.
the picture.
That's over here. That's over here.
Well, can either of you let us know what you think the owner would be open to this?
Well,
or-
are we in our deliberation or this is still the question side?
Oh, this
So,
is the
I mean,
question
we're going a little bit further. Maybe, I don't know if the applicant needs to present or have public comment, but I guess my question, again, I mean, seeing we're still in the question time, is does the applicant believe they have enough comment on, I mean, enough information about this that they can go ahead with this, and I'm sure we could condition it potentially, or would they rather continue and come back with a more formal plan? I guess that's a question both to Sammy and the staff and or the applicant.
I mean, I'll give my opinion and then let's make sure we hear from the actual architect. But I mean, from my standpoint, it seems like I think we have the information, you know, it sounds, at least based on this, you know, albeit rudimentary kind of look through, but it sounds like there's enough room to meet the clearance for PG&E, which would be my primary concern. And I think, as I understand, kind of essentially where the stairs are, that section of gate essentially would jog back towards the dotted property line, kind of as much as we could do it, and then you would just have the steps there that are encroaching. I think that sounds feasible from my perspective, and that we could probably make that work, working with staff. Alpna, do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
I also agree.
Yeah.
I think if they don't have the clearance though for PG, and if it doesn't work out with the PG&E clearance, then we would need to come back.
No, but
think.
I mean, it's not there yet. They can put their transformer wherever they
They can
want,
move,
grading
yeah.
notwithstanding. Frankly, I would recommend they come back.
Yeah.
I think you're getting enough nods up here from the council members to say, just do it. It's, you know, you've got whether the fence, because I think you need to decide whether it runs in parallel with the existing fence or the property line, which aren't the same. Figure out what looks best, but what works best. Figure out where the landing should be, at the top level or the lower level. How much you jog in on either side of the fence, whether it's, you know, just at the gate or it's a foot or two to give some space. Whatever you need to decide, I think the council would probably like to see that. So I don't think it's going to slow them down any, you know, so just, you know, make those modifications and come back, even if it's on consent next time, because I think we've discussed it pretty well. I think that'd be my recommendation, and I think we're probably in agreement up here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would just, Mr. Dorso, I think it is, who's saying towards the property line. I think what we're saying is on the property line, not towards, correct, Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to push it back to the line.
Are we in questions or opinion?
Well, to be, just to make sure it's clear,
Just
the
question.
fence is on the line. I mean, towards is the steps are going to be in front and over the line.
Correct.
Correct.
Are there any other questions? No, is there anyone here in the public that would like to have a comment or a question? Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Now we can come back for discussion. Sounds like discussion happened. Does anyone have further discussion? Okay, then
Just that,
Andrew,
do we
you
need
were
to-
asleep. You missed that one, Andrew.
Do we need to officially continue it or just?
Maybe continue it.
You want a motion to continue?
No, I think it's understood.
Yeah.
Okay,
How we're going to proceed with this item. Thank
okay,
you.
Great, then you don't need anything else from us.
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much, both of you, for attending and responding to our questions. And hopefully this is a workable solution for everyone. So thank you very much.
Before you pass on this real quick, just in the same, if in fact they do resolve this and the staff does deem this to be on consent next month, just were there any other issues? I know I sort of hijacked the deliveries.
I didn't have
I
it.
didn't have any other issues of this from an RL perspective. Okay, just make sure they have everything they need going forward. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. In that case, we're moving to item number 6, which is the open forum. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to briefly address the city council on any matter that does not appear on this agenda, but is within the city council's subject matter jurisdiction. Upon being recognized by the mayor, please limit your oral statement to no more than 3 minutes. Under the Brown Act, council members may not deliberate or take action on items not on tonight's agenda. Matters that appear to warrant a more lengthy presentation or council consideration may be placed on the agenda for further discussion at a later meeting. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to mention anything in the open forum or have a question? Seeing none, do we have any on Zoom?
Mayor Cooper, there are no hands raised.
Okay, great. Since we have nothing, no one with anything to say in open forum, then we will adjourn as there's no other business tonight. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.